suspension stuff, we got the replacement lower mounting arm bracket thing. Comparing it height-wise to the one next to it, which is the old one, they are ever so slightly, let me back up here, ever so slightly smaller. As you can see here, let me make sure my phone's lined up. Okay, lined up. It's a little bit smaller overall. So we'll see, let me turn this actually all the way so we can see them in comparison side by side, but it should lower just a little bit more, and then this part seems to be a little bit lower overall, so we'll see. This is as low as it's gonna be able to get with these current lower brackets without this whole piece being changed. And the reason we don't wanna change this is because that will mess with the stroke length of everything for the suspension. So if we can get it to work with this, we will. If we can't, then we'll see, but I'm gonna put these on. Hopefully I'll have the stuff for the turbo back so that I can drive it, get the suspension kind of in place again and see if it lowers itself automatically or if it's going to just stay kind of where it's at. But it hasn't settled yet, so I guess that it's basically going to settle and then it should be okay, and we'll end up seeing which way we need to go. But at least at its lowest of low settings, yeah, we'll see where we're at. So let's throw it on there, shall we? I don't think I'll also be able to throw on those little clips here to keep this where it's at. So it'll pretty much just be throwing this on where it's at, put it on the ground, see where we're at for both sides. So let's knock it out. Put the other one in there, and it just didn't line up as far as the height is concerned. The way that, let me get it, put a picture in here in a second, but the way that this sits, this, as we saw earlier, the height overall for this is barely smaller, very, very small difference. So the biggest difference comes in when you're looking, and I'll put a picture on the board because I already put it obviously back on, but comes into play when we're looking at the number of, here, let me get some light on this, threads that are on the inside. The other one goes a lot deeper. So this one would equally need to go just as deep as the original ones would be in order for this to work better as far as adjusting the height. So at this point, what we're gonna try and do is just, once I get the turbo stuff finished, and that looks like it's almost done, it's looking pretty good, put that stuff on and then we can drive it. So then once we drive it, then we can actually see if that's going to make a difference in regards to the suspension settling or if it's going to cause any other issues, rubbing or what have you. But I think there should be a little bit of suspension settling that needs to happen. Just with any new coilovers, they got to bounce a couple times in order to get it right. I have jumped up and down on the car a couple times, but it hasn't made too much of a difference in regards to where suspension sits today. So with that in mind, I will keep you posted when I have the other stuff here and then can throw it on. But that's the last thing that we need to do so we can drive it again. So we're almost there. And then once all that's said and done, we need to definitely get in alignment, especially if everything settles the way I'm thinking it will. We'll need to get in alignment. All right, so we got the DEI titanium exhaust wrap. Never wrapped an exhaust before, just kind of dealt with the heat. But now that we're in that phase, let's get into it. So pretty much got a little tool as well to help with the fasteners or the metal zip ties, whatever you want to call them, essentially to just tighten up the wrap once we get to that point. I think from my understanding, from what I've been reading, you don't need to use any water with this. So it is good to just take out, start wrapping and tighten down with this. I think what you do need, what I don't have to properly seal it, is essentially a spray. So I may look that up and get that info, but essentially get a spray that's like a silicone to seat this all the way so moisture doesn't get behind it, as well as heat cycling the car with this on it as you're spraying through coats. So it's a few different steps for that. But for now, we're just gonna get this and wrap it on that and tighten it down with these and this tool to tighten it all the way through. So let's knock that out real quick and then we'll worry about the silicone stuff in a bit.
So it's time to paint, or not paint, but to cover the downpipe and the wrap. So that way we kind of seal it fully. Hopefully you can hear me clear enough, but that's the game plan. It's to seal it fully. That way if there's any moisture or anything from hitting water and all that, it doesn't get to the metal fully and corrode that further. So stainless, but you know, just trying to protect it as best I can as far as heat's concerned. So we have some DEI silicone, let me flip it. Some DEI high temp silicone paint and coatings. This pretty much just seals it from the elements fully overall. So pretty much gonna just cut this little couple strands off here and then just start spraying it down, doing some light coats. I'm gonna use a heat. I just need to find my heat gun so that way I can actually give it some time to cure a little bit through the coats. And yeah, go from there. All right, so we're pretty much going to try and do the manufacturer cure process, which is getting this to 400 degrees. So don't know how well this will work, but we have our temperature gauge here. Oh, focus. Temperature gauge. So then we'll try and heat this up with our normal heat gun just throughout evenly and see how well this goes. So. Of course, I figured since we did the downpipe, we might as well go ahead and just wrap anything else that we can in the same stuff. So we're gonna do the wastegate. We'll do that next, and we're doing the exhaust manifold now. I have so much extra roll. I have 2 of these extra ones. So really didn't mean to buy that much, but I did. So here we are. Might as well utilize it. So we're gonna start up here, work our way down through each one, just to see how it looks. And if we like it, we'll keep it. If we don't, oh well. But let's give it a go. We're not gonna paint this one black like the other one, so it'll just stay the same color because I'm not taking that off since I just took it off. But yeah, let's see what we get. I've adjusted it a couple times. As you can see, the steering wheel straight. This one goes out just a little bit compared to this side. That is pretty spot on. So they're probably both out of whack just a little bit here and there, but that's all good. We'll have Pat take care of us like we usually do. So let's put these back in a box and wait for the turbo stuff to show up, and we'll pick up from there. While we're waiting on that, we pretty much did the wrap on the turbo manifold in order to kind of prevent a little bit of heat from getting everywhere. So started with a zip tie up here, kind of just kept working our way around through each runner. So now we're gonna use the safety wire trick that we used on this as well. Ignore that that still has the zip tie on there for the metal zip tie. Bunch of problems. So I think I figured out how to do that properly in the future, but either way, we're gonna use safety wire for that again. Wrap that around, and then we should be set. Chop some of this extra line stuff off. All right, just like that, we got everything safety wired up. So we got a safety wire around the base here, one up top, and then we wrap this terribly just to get it on there and have something, because it would be the only metal piece standing out. Wrap that with whatever leftover I had, and then without opening a new pack, a couple safety wires there on that one, and we should be good to go. So yeah, now we're just waiting for that powder coating stuff, and then we should be good to rock and roll. And a little side project that we're going to do is just fix this for the throttle itself. There was nothing really wrong with this part of it. It was just where it was mounted was not working out really well overall, because you could still kind of move it slightly. So I have this Flying Miata one. I can't remember the year. I'll post it if I can find it. But I think it's the later year. So we'll mount that back here. That should give us hopefully enough slack. If we need to pull it back, we can a little bit. And then, yeah, should be good. I'm gonna just chamfer these out a little bit. Is that what you say, chamfer? But I'm just gonna basically use this to make this flush, so that way we can actually mount the original hardware that's there. So let me do this real quick and throw it on. So this will basically be the end goal. Smooth it out a little bit. So that way, when I put you can't see it, I'm one-handed. When I put a bolt in, it doesn't stick out like this does. It will sit pretty decently flush up against that. Like so. Much better. So, do the same thing in the bottom one, throw these in, and we should be done. Okay, the only thing I had to do is just make this hole a little bit wider, so that way it can actually go up and down like it's supposed to be. So let's line it up. I haven't even tested it yet. Let's just spot check where we're at. We look good. So this should hopefully stop it from moving a whole lot. Worst case scenario, if it really starts getting bad, I'll just weld this bottom hole shut, drill it straight up and down, then we'll be set. So, but yeah, now that we have that done, let's throw it on there real quick. I need some little spacers so we can stop destroying our stuff, but otherwise, yeah, be right back. All right, I have a better solution. Basically just cut these bolts a little bit smaller in length. That way we can just use a nice little washer behind it, and then we should be able to space this off of this far enough to where it's not just destroying this every single time. And then we should be good. So let's throw it on real quick. All right, so we got it on there and it's mounted up properly, not going anywhere. This thing is solid. So now I don't have to worry about this or any of this stuff being adjusted as I'm driving slightly. So throttle positions stay the same across the board, which is the best thing. So now we just got to tighten these down and we're done with this portion of it. And then tonight, I saw some pictures and some videos. Thank you, Gabriel, for the turbo stuff and getting all that stuff powder coated for me. So I'll be picking that up tonight. Then we can go over that and throw that stuff on. But until the next time, I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace.